our goal is really to have a community event that is safe and enjoyable for everyone. People really need to feel safe, and the Bellin Run team has taken great lengths to reach that goal. Now, as I mentioned, Dave McGillivray is the race director for the Bellin Run, as well as the Boston Marathon. And Dave is one of the most respected race directors in the nation, if not the most respected race director. And we're really honored to have his experience, his insight and support right here in Green Bay, Wisconsin to help us with the Bellin Run. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Dave McGillivray.
Thank you, Randy. I love Boston, but I'm thrilled to be back here in Green Bay again. I want to first thank George Kerwin for bringing us in, I guess 5 years ago now. So time flies, but it's been great to work with the folks at Bellin Health and all the people who really created this event. I've always felt when you work an event just like the Boston Marathon, even though I'm the race director, I just feel like I'm more of a caretaker. It was here before I was born, and it'll be here long after I'm gone. I'm just kind of taking care of it for a while. And that's how I feel somewhat about the Bellin Run. So thanks to George and thanks to Randy for bringing us on board. And just the fact that this event has 19,000 plus participants says two things. One is, or three things. What is going on in our industry today? The walls of intimidation have crumbled. People are believing in themselves, and it's all about self-esteem and self-confidence. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people get out of doing events like this. It's about what Bellin Health has created. The vision of George Kerwin is coming to life, and in specific to today, given the occurrences of April 15th, it's about the resiliency and the strength of our industry, that we will not be denied our running freedom. And so races since Boston have been seeing incredible growth. Instead of people being afraid and running away, they're doing just the opposite, which is really exciting to see and comforting to see. So I want to thank George, Randy, and also Sean Ryan, who is really the man behind the curtain making it all happen. As for April 15th, first our thoughts go out to all the victims and their family. We will never, ever forget them, and we will always remember those innocent victims of that tragic event. And the survivors they've been so inspirational. They've given us strength. Instead of us trying to help them, it's a phenomenon that's occurring, is that their strength really helps us all heal. Because, there were victims physically of this event, but we're all victims of it. This was not, I don't look at it as an attack on the Boston Marathon. It was an attack on the city of Boston, and it was an attack on all of us here in America. So this, in my opinion, this will only strengthen our sport. Again, we will not be denied our running freedom. We have a renewed sense of patriotism as a result of what occurred. I always feel the good pushes the bad right over the cliff. And that's what we're experiencing now. As bad as the situation was, we are now all recovering. I talk about there were a lot of victims, and for me personally, my family was sitting in the bleachers across from where the first explosion occurred. And I had a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son sitting there. And they saw everything. So that was tough to know. And I kept calling to see if they were okay, because I didn't know at the time. I got home a couple of days later, and I saw my 7-year-old son, and he came running up to me and gave me a hug. And he said to me, "Dad, I don't ever want you to direct that race again." And that put it all into a perspective for me. A 7-year-old kid saying that. The impact of what happened was overwhelming. But again, we recover. And only a few days ago, 6.5, 7 weeks later, he come up to me. I came home from work, and he come up to me, and he said, "Remember I told you I don't ever want you to direct that race again?" I said, "Yeah, Luke." He said, "You know why?" I said, "Why?" He says, "Because I want to direct it." And it just, again, made you aware that there's strength in all of us. We recover, and we get, I've always felt like scar tissue is stronger than the original skin, you know. So the healing is begun, and we're moving, we're moving forward. The other thing is what we saw on that day was simply amazing. The heroism and the courage of not only the first responders, public safety, EMS, police, but the thing that struck me the most was the heroism of just the everyday volunteer, people who push wheelchairs or hand out water. And they're not paid to do that. They rush to the bombs, not away from them. So again, we're all in this thing together, and as bad as it was, you all know, it could have been worse. I mean, the fact that those bombs went off only yards from a huge medical facility, and thank goodness the day was what it was, and it was a good day, weather-wise. It was only in the 50s compared to 89-degree weather we had the year before. And all those medical people in that medical tent responded right away. So we were fortunate that the location, the time it happened, where it happened, that we were able to save a lot of lives. Otherwise, may not have happened. So people say, well, how'd you do it? Really, it comes down to one basic component, and that is preparedness, being prepared. I've always felt that winning is the science of being totally prepared. So if you're prepared and you surround yourself with good people, experienced people, what they give you is a level of confidence. We always talk about contingency planning and crisis management, because at the end of the day, anyone can sort of, put together a book on how to put on an event. It's when it hits the fan, that's when you really want the experienced people watching your back. And that's how this all happened in terms of responding, because the people that were in place at the time were people who had a sense of what was around them and how to respond. We even put together this operation manual for the Bellin run. It's about 200 pages long. Sean Ryan put it all together, but everyone contributed. Anything and everything you wanted to know about this race is in here. Diagrams, maps, how many road cones and porta-johns and public safety and every single turn on the course and timelines. That's what saves you, is your preparedness in an event. And I would like to think every event in our industry goes to that length, but unfortunately that's not always the case, but we continue to try to encourage people to do that. Another interesting result of all this is what not many people are talking about is the race itself. We spent 12 months planning a major marathon, and it was going incredibly well up until 250. And then the situation occurred, and now I don't think one person has asked me, how'd the race go, by the way? It's all perspective, obviously, and everything's relative, but the race itself, before the 250 bombings, was a great event. So the outpouring of support and kindness has been unbelievable, overwhelming. Our office is like an elementary school. You walk down the lobby and the corridors, and there's posters, banners, I mean, hundreds of them from all over the world, signed by participants in road races or school children. Just, they have to do something, and they offer their support. And it's all pouring in from all over the world. And the amount of runs that are occurring, even here in Green Bay, the marathon, you know, everyone's running for Boston. The reality is that we're running to heal, and we're running for ourselves too, in order to recover from all this. The One Fund, the charitable organization set up for the victims, over $40 million in a matter of weeks has been raised. And one of the biggest things that people aren't talking about just yet, but it's starting, is what are you going to do in 2014? And if anybody has a bulldozer, I'm going to need it, because I don't know what we're going to do with all these people who want to participate in the race next year, but that's going to be certainly our next biggest challenge.